Hey geometry people, it's Mrs. Slauson. So here is your warm-up, and before I start this, just remember it's one class period. You will do a great job. Just be well behaved for the substitute, and then when it's time to take your showcase, please put your phones away. Alright, so we are reviewing this warm-up because this was a type of problem that was on our last showcase, our last quiz, our last ICANN, whatever you want to call it, and this was a problem area for us all. So I'm going to go through these. I'm going to do the first three, and then I'm going to ask you to pause, try the last one on your own, and if you don't get the answers, then you should watch the rest of the video. All right, so we will be using cross products to solve for x, and you will need to factor every problem. And so you should be having that factor page with you as well. So I'm going to do my cross products. And I'm going to start with what I think is the easier way to multiply, 3 times all of this. So I put it in parentheses. And then I'm going to have to take all of this times all of this, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. And then I'll have to take a moment and have some neighbors meet. So starting on the left side, I'm going to distribute neighbors meeting neighbors, so I get 9x and minus 24. On this side, I'm going to have x go meet everybody first, and I get x squared plus 9x. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you can pause, you can rewind. And now this will distribute, and I get a negative 8x. I know those are like terms. I've shown you I like to stack those like terms. And then I'm going to multiply those. And now I'm going to bring the left side down, clean up the right side. And so all I did was just combine these like terms. Sorry, you can't see that. And now what has to happen when you have multiple types of x, so an x squared versus an x, you have to get everything to one side so that one side is set equal to 0. And you want to leave the x squared as a positive term, so I'm going to subtract my 9x to join this x, and I'm going to add the 24 to join the 72. And so what will happen is the left side will become 0. I'll now have x squared. When I combine those, I get 8x. And then maybe you want to grab your calculator just to see what negative 72 is added to 24. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I get a negative 48. And now I'm going to factor. So when I factor, I make my x, and I multiply the first and the last to go here. And this middle term goes here. And now what I'm going to do is use my factor page, and I'm going to look at 48. And I want to see which of these numbers can get me an 8, whether I add or subtract them. And so looking through, 4 and 12 will get me to 8 if I subtract them. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put my 4 and 12 in here. And I will have to make the 4 negative, because really what's supposed to happen is I have to add these to make this. So now I'm going to make my factors. They always come in 2s. And as I've shown you multiple times this year, is I go ahead and fill in the x's. And remember, these neighbors will be meeting to make this. Okay? So I have to make sure that when x neighbor meets x neighbor, the first term and the first term, do I get x squared? And I do. So now I'm going to make these loops. And now I'm going to use x times something to make negative 4x, and that would be a negative 4, because remember, these are neighbors meeting. And x times what would make the 12x, and that would be a positive 12. And now I factored. Once you factored, you have to set your factors equal to 0, and now you can just simply get x alone. So I subtract the 12 over, and so one answer is negative 12, and I add the 4 over, so another answer is 4. All right, the next one we're going to do together is the top right one. And so again, I'm going to do my cross products multiplying. So I'm going to start with negative 1 times 4. That's pretty easy, of negative 4. And then I'm going to take x times all of this. And now I need to have these neighbors meet, so I don't have parentheses again, or anymore, sorry. And now what I'm going to do is, just like the other one, I want to keep this x squared staying as a positive x squared, but I need it to equal 0, so I'm going to add the 4 over. And there's nothing to like for it to add over, so I'm just going to kind of put it over on the side. But now I have 0 equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. And now I'm going to factor. So first and last make the top. The middle makes the bottom. And so I need factors of 4 that add up to 4. Well, there aren't very many factors of 4. It's either 1 and 4, which will never give me 4, but 2 and 2 will. So going back to here, I'm going to fill in a 2x and a 2x. And now I'm going to make my factored parentheses. And I'll go ahead and throw in those x's and just double check, is x and x enough for the x squared when those neighbors meet? It is. And now I can draw my loops, my face, to make these numbers. So x times what can make 2x? Well, that's a positive 2. And then I'll let this x meet with a positive 2 to make this 2x. Now that I've got my factors, I can set my factors equal to 0. Notice that they're the same. So when I'm done, I'll subtract 2 in either of them, and I get negative 2 as my answer twice. If you just list it once, that's okay as well. All right, we're about to try this one together, and then you're going to try the last one on your own. So let's go ahead and get through this. So I'm going to take 10 times all of that, and then I have to have all of x minus 1 multiplying with all of 3x minus 2, and now I'll have to take a moment to have my neighbors meet. So 10 is going to go meet neighbors first, and I get 10x plus 20. And now these neighbors are going to meet, so let's x go meet everybody first, and I get 3x squared, and I get a negative 2x. And now I'm going to let the negative 1 meet everybody, so I get a negative 3x, which I like to stack with its like term, and then when I multiply these, I get a positive 2. So the left side will just come down, and then I'm going to clean up the right side. The 3x squared will just drop down. I can combine these x's into negative 5x and then drop down the 2. And just like before, I need to have it equal 0, but I'd like for this to stay positive, so I'm going to subtract the 10x to join the other x term, and I'm going to subtract the 20 to join the other just regular number. So now what happens, I do have 0 on the left side because these will cancel out, and now I have 3x squared, I have negative 15x, and when I combine those I get 18. And now we're ready to factor. So I'm going to make my x, and when I multiply these I get 54x squared, and the middle one goes in the bottom. So now I need to find factors of 54 that make this number, and there's a lot of factors of 54, so let's take a look. So again, I'm trying to get to 15, negative 15. And so when I look at my list, 3 and 18 will get to a 15. So I'm going to fill those in, and remember, I do have to add these to make negative 15x, so I'll make the 18 negative. So now, make my factors with my parentheses. I automatically put in my x's, but x and x is not enough for 3x squared, so I'm going to have to put a 3 in there. So now when these neighbors meet, I get this, and now I'll draw my loops for other neighbors meeting to make those. Now x is never picky. X can make a negative 18x, and x can make a 3x, but 3x is picky. And so, but it's not actually that picky because 3 can make either of these. So you know what, I'll just have the 3x multiply with a positive 1 to make this, and then I could just have this x multiply with the negative 18 to make this one. So I guess neither of them are picky. But now I'm going to take each factor, set them equal to 0, and then here if I just subtract the 1 over, that one's pretty simple, I get negative 1. Here I'm going to add the 18 over. So now I get 3x equals 18, and then I'll just divide by that 3, so I get 6. So now what I want you to do is to, in a moment, you're going to pause the videos. I'm going to tell you the answer first, and that is your goal to get to. And if you don't get those answers, then what I want you to do is to try the problem, follow the video. So I need to pause it real quick. All right, so this one, when you're done, your 2 answers, if you did this correctly, again, you should pause the video and try it first. You should get negative 3 and you should get positive 2 as an answer. If you got those, great, move on to the next thing on your checklist page. But if you didn't get those, now it's time to finish watching the video. So I'm going to multiply these. 6 times 1 is 6. And then x will have to multiply with all of that, so I write it like this. And now I'll have to have these neighbors meet. So I'm going to get x squared plus 1x. And again, I want this to equal 0, but I want to keep this positive, so I'm going to subtract my 6 over. There's nothing to combine it with, so I'll just kind of put it off to the side. And now this is in a format that I can factor. So I'm going to find factors of -6 that get me to 1. Remember, you can always pause. And when I go to my list of 6, there's very few numbers, but 2 and 3 can get me to 1. So I'm going to put 2 and 3. And to remember, these add to get this number. So I will have to make that 2 negative. So now I'm going to make my parentheses. It is set equal to 0. I'm going to drop my x's in there. I'm just going to double check, is x and x enough to make this? Yep. And I can draw my other loops to make these numbers. And I can multiply this x with the -2 to get this. And I can multiply this x with the +3 to get to the 3x. And now set my factors equal to 0. And I'm going to subtract the 3, so I get -3, and I'm going to add the 2 over, so I get 2. So the next thing that you're going to do now is grab the 2 pages from the other day. So one of them, hold on, I'm going to pause the video so I can show them. All right, one of the 2 pages is you're going to start with this, remember with the ABCD cards. Your job is to work on this for however many minutes that directions page says. And then I want you to find this page and work on that one for a while as well. All right? And the only part I really need for you to work on is these are numbered down at the bottom, just page 15 and 16. You can leave 17 out for now. Don't worry about that because I'm not going to assess you on something like that on your showcase quiz today. And that's it. So you should have plenty of time. Yeah, good luck.